Hello, everyone. Glad to see you back at Silver Tears Tarot, and a great big welcome to those of you who are new. Today, we're going to take a look at changes that are coming to you as the season changes. So, as of today, the summer is a memory, and the fall is here for us to make some new memories. So, we can dig in and see what that means. So, to do that, I've got the Aquarian Tarot for you, the Tarot of the Spirit, and then we'll use the Divine Abundance Oracle as well. And so, as usual, this is going to be a general reading. It's for all signs. And the readings here are also timeless. So you'll be more drawn to readings when it's the right time for you to hear them. It's not going to resonate with everyone. But if it does resonate with you, please do like, share, and subscribe so that you can stick with me and so that I can know which videos you guys like. The ones you like more of, I will do more of. So, as I said, today we're going to kind of take a look at what's coming to you as the season changes. And so I like that spread that I've been using here on YouTube. We're going to start with the purpose, the reason for, kind of what's the big idea for this reading. And so this is the Aquarian Tarot. And here we're looking for the big idea. So we've got the Four of Rods in reverse. All right. And so the Four of Rods in reverse speaks of something that's not as stable. It can be about a marriage. It can be about a household, but it's really, we'll have to look into it when we go to clarify, but something is not overly stable, and that's going to be kind of the focus for the reading today. But let's get a little bit more of a feel for the setting. So like, what's the weather around this lack of stability that we're going to see play out across the fall? These things are good to know about, so that way when they happen, when they come to you, you have some idea how you want to handle it, because you already sort of have an idea that it's coming. So something's coming that's going to present a lack of stability, or, it even could be something new. So this is cool. So this is the Empress. And this is, like I said, the weather around the Four of Rods in reverse. And so that's like the Four of Wands in reverse. So it's, again, it's about stability, but there is I want to use the term stable energy around the overall experience too. And that might be coming from you. We'll take a closer look here when we clarify. But we've got the Empress here to define further kind of this reading that's going to be about the Four of Rods. So let's see what's kind of that thing that wants to stick out the most. And we have the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, so something is moving slowly and steadily toward a resolution. And again, we're going to know a little bit more when we clarify. I guess let's dig in a little bit deeper than that. So we've got something that's going to be moving toward a slow but steady resolution. I get the sense that you're still going to be okay with it. Like there's going to be growth here, but you are prepared for it and ready for that to happen. So when this discomfort happens, because I kind of get the sense that this is almost like discomfort, this level of instability is like a discomfort to you, but you're ready. You're prepared to be in discomfort for a little while. Things are moving forward. So let's learn maybe just a little bit more about that. And here we have the Magician. So this is good news, because the Magician is, it's that manifestation, the master of manifestation. And it's about also being prepared, again, similar to the feeling that I'm getting from this Empress. It's about being prepared for what's coming. So again, we'll understand a little bit more about that when we clarify. But so far, you've got a situation that's a little bit uncomfortable, but you're going to be prepared to handle it like a champ. You know that it's moving gradually toward progress, and you know that you're prepared to handle it. So let's see, what kind of hidden energies are there that we need to know about going into this fall? So this is a general reading, so it's kind of for all of us, but it's just interesting to see all the different ways that something like this could potentially play out. So here we have the Nine of Swords, and that is the energy of anxiety. It's not sleeping very well. Sometimes you'll see it literally, somebody is not sleeping or they're sitting awake, their head is in their hands, they're very concerned. This is the sort of background information. So this could be something that's under the surface. So maybe you're prepared to handle this, but you're dealing with somebody who's not, or under the surface, you've got some anxiety. Again, we'll look a little bit more deeply into it. And then, maybe in this last position here, instead of looking at how does everything turn out in the end, let's look at kind of what that next step is. I'm very fond here lately of looking at the next step. And we have the Page of Pentacles. So you guys know when I have multiple cards come out, I like to just take the top one. But here, I just keep having one card come out. It's just being a very decisive deck right now. So spread these out a little bit so that you guys can kind of see them a little bit better. But with the Page of Pentacles, we have learning. So this is a really promising sort of spread, and I'm curious to understand what sort of learning, because it's learning that comes about that you are very much ready for and you're prepared for. So ready for it psychologically, prepared for it from a skill set standpoint. You're ready to manifest what you need to. You have made certain preparations, but there is an anxiety here, whether it's on your part or someone else's. All is not easy. All might be well, but it's not easy. Things are marching toward a resolution here, but it's a little bit unsteady in the progress, or in the process of it getting there. So let's take a little bit closer of a look. I want to clarify with the Tarot of the Spirit. And so first we're clarifying that Four of Rods in reverse there. And remember, that's like the Four of Wands in reverse. Sometimes you see in some decks they are rods. So we've got a tower that's happening. We're just going to take this top card. Unless I'm called to take more than just the top card, I usually just take that top card. If they fall on the table, then if it's a single card, I'll take it and I'll flip it over. If it's not flipped over, if it's multiple cards, I just consider it sloppy shuffling and I pop it back in the deck. So I let the cards come out as they will, but those are kind of the rules that I use. And by rules, I mean I use that loosely, because sometimes here we have the Hierophant in reverse. Sometimes I'll drop a few and I'll be very aware that there are a couple that need to be picked up. So all right, the Four of Rods in reverse. So we've got a situation where there is some lack of stability, but we've also got a tower. And so a tower is tumultuous energy. It is things definitely changing. And it's like that moment when it hits you that things cannot remain the way that they are. And we've got the Hierophant here, which it feels very much like we've got a relationship of some kind. Doesn't have to be a marriage, definitely could be, that has not been moving in a stable direction for a while now, but something happens and we have a tower moment, as we sometimes call it, where things are very uncertain, things have to change, and you'll see really that inflection point coming from there. And it looks like if it's a marriage, whatever it is not going to continue along on the traditional path. And so with this Hierophant, that's a message that is kind of coming through from that. We've got something that it's like when you first come into this reading, you realize something is just really not stable, but it's ending. Okay, so it's ending, and that's going to clear the way for something, but it seems like you're ready for it. Let's take a closer look at the Empress then. All right, so we have the Two of Wind. That's like the Two of Swords, and that's a decision that needs to be made, and this Empress is ready for it. Maybe this is too long in an unstable situation, and there's been time to think about what things would look like. There's also, I'm getting the sense that there's been some time to grieve the situation. So by the time this ends and things start to change, this Empress, whether it's you, I get the sense that it's you, but it's that person is ready. Okay. And so we also have the Chariot in reverse, and that's hesitation. So you're ready. This person is ready. It could potentially be somebody else, but it really feels like you. There's a decision that has to be made, but there's some hesitation. So this Chariot is, I like to think of it as the energy of movement, but it comes from you. It comes from within you instead of it acts upon you like maybe the Wheel of Fortune might do. And so it's a hesitation here, but it's also it's a hesitation based on an involvement in this situation here. So there's a moment of self-doubt, of hesitation, as the person, and possibly you, is trying to make this decision as this tumultuous moment happens, because maybe once it's upon you, doesn't feel like you really expected it to feel. It's a little bit sadder. It's not moving as quickly or as much on fire as you might have pictured. And so all of a sudden there's this moment of hesitation when there's this decision to be made. So we know that things are moving relatively quickly. I feel like there's something that kind of, I don't know, I want to say it blows up, but I want to say that there is some rapid action that happens here. This hesitation is part of what causes things to be slow, but they need to be slow. So let's look more closely at that Knight of Pentacles and understand that. So we've got the Eight of Waters, and that's, or the Eight of Water, and that's Cups. In the traditional tarot. So Eight of Cups in the reverse can mean a couple things. It could be aimlessly kind of moving towards something that isn't really what you're looking for. Eight of Cups in the upright a lot of times is moving toward your Nine of Cups. It's moving toward your wish fulfillment, and it may be walking away from something. So in the reverse, it can potentially be returning, but it can also be just that feeling of sort of aimlessly wandering. And I get that aimlessly wandering sort of feeling a little bit, and that's part of what's slowing things down. But this aimless wandering is a little bit necessary for this Empress who's ready for this adjustment here, but has hesitated. So let's take another card here to take a look at the Knight of Pentacles and to understand the nature of that a little bit more. So that's that slow movement that we see, but it turns out it's not especially directed movement. And here we have the Sister of Water. Just going to take that top card. And the Sister of Water is like the Page of Cups. It's in the reverse. And so you have somebody that's kind of, I get the sense, going on walkabout. I mean, that's the term that wanted to come to mind. And so it's aimless wandering, but it's not completely without purpose. It's about going and finding what it is that really speaks to you, and being in tuned with yourself to allow for that. So this hesitation, although it is hesitation and is causing things not to necessarily complete the blow up that might have been trying to happen here, there is this sense of walkabout. Okay, but I'm exploring things. I'm aimlessly wandering, or what looks like aimlessly wandering, but really it's a matter of learning and starting to get a feel for what I'm really in tune with. So this is a person who feels like, with this instability, what they feel like is they haven't had the stability in what they've needed here for a while now. And so as things start to fall apart, we have this Tower moment where both of you, or everyone involved, realizes things will never be the same. But this Empress is like, hold on. So this is going to be some discomfort that we're going to be sitting in, but I'm not necessarily pulling out completely right now. I've got a decision to make, and I need to look a little bit more carefully. Starts to investigate what really matters to me. Things are moving slowly. I need to understand my real needs in this situation. This is not a bad thing. So it may be a very uncomfortable situation, but to truly understand those needs and how they play into the big picture is going to be essential. And then we look down here and we see that all the tools to handle it are available. The Master Manifestor card is here. Let's get a couple more cards on this. So this is, it's not quite the happy ending, but it foretells of having those tools that'll be necessary to get where you need to go. So it's going to be, this is not that hermit that can't learn anything. This is that hermit that's coming back out of the hermit cave, out of the thinking cave, with some resolution. So this is the time that you could say this is in that hermit cave, even though it's also kind of like aimlessly wandering on walkabout, looking for things that connect. And I use the term aimless, but again, it is very much with purpose. But there's, and here's that purpose at the end. So we're going to see that play out. This is going to be for the greater good. The fact that this Empress decided to go on walkabout and learn some things. And here we have the Mother of Fire. All right, and so, oop, I dropped a couple. So the Mother of Fire in reverse there, it's like the Queen of Wands in reverse, and what she is signifying here is really the dropping of masks. And so it's being able to be more vulnerable, but it's really being able to be more vulnerable with yourself. So this Empress has hesitated and said, hold on, there's more than one way to do things. And I remember seeing that maybe it's just not traditional going forward. That could be part of it. It could be, hey, we're going to change this arrangement a little bit. I've got a decision to make. I'm not done making it yet. So I'm going to think about things. I'm going to let things move a little bit slowly here. That's going to be uncomfortable. And this is throughout your autumn. Okay, so this could stretch out for a few weeks, you know, and we've got 3 months of autumn, but I guess we'll see how things look like they're going to progress. But there's going to be some time of, you know, self-examination and looking in there to understand what it is that you need to know. I'd be curious to understand what is learned here, because at that point where you come out of the hermit cave, there is an ability to be vulnerable with the self. There's an ability to understand the self on a different level and to be able to unlock a little bit of manifestation that comes from this. So this is definitely something I'd like to learn a little bit more about. What does that manifestation look like? But then also, tell me about this Nine of Swords. I'm curious to understand the Nine of Swords. So we have the Strength card in reverse, because sometimes it's just going to be hard. I didn't even see what that other card was. I just knew it wasn't the one for us. And we've got the Wheel of Fortune actually moving you forward. Okay, so the Wheel of Fortune, you remember earlier I mentioned that the Chariot is like this impetus that comes from inside you. And the Wheel of Fortune would be more energy that works on you. And so there is going to be a need for you to kind of move in a maybe a path or maybe a pace that is not completely comfortable. So we know there's uncomfortable experiences here and that you're okay with it. You've pressed pause anyway and decided to take a little bit longer to understand and investigate what your true needs are. And there is some realization here, but it's like you won't fly out of the nest, and because there's some fear involved that it's really tough to overcome. So this anxiety is around the fear that once you've got a decision, or once you've got that new understanding and that new perspective and that new vulnerability with yourself, there's still a bridge to cross here. And so I'd be curious to understand kind of what is that bridge to cross as well. But it's based in, you know, there's still some fear about, okay, I understand what has to happen next, but I'm not necessarily ready to go. And this is the universe kicking you out of the nest, the Wheel of Fortune. And so there is some anxiety there. But I guess that makes sense, because you're coming up with some new concepts as you go, and you went out looking for new information when this happened, and you decided that you were going to take a closer look. Took a closer look, came up with some new information. We're like, okay, so where do I start? Well, you just have to start, is what it feels like. And so this Page of Pentacles is your next step, and that's really going to be about learning. But what is it that you want to tell us more about this learning? This is going to be an exciting fall. I'm looking forward to some of the readings that come out of this, because this could be applied to a household. It could be applied to a relationship. It could be your job. There could be as many different things happening as there are people watching. And so everyone's fall, it looks like it's going to follow this kind of similar pattern here. Oh boy. Okay, so let's absolutely take a closer look at this. We've got everyone's fall following this pattern where there's some definite discomfort here. You're okay, you're ready for it, but you've got a decision to make. So maybe you decide you're going to press pause and go on a slightly less traditional sort of path. You're going to slow things down, take a look, make sure that you understand sort of that spiritual walkabout. And it looks like you're wandering aimlessly, but it is not completely without purpose. It's very much just sort of going into yourself and learning to observe and understand what's there. Because you come back with this ability to manifest on a whole new level, with this ability to be vulnerable with yourself on a new level and sort of a new and better understanding of things, but you're not necessarily ready to jump just yet. The universe sort of has to kick you out of the nest because there's still a lot of fear here that arises from these experiences and some of what's held you down as a result of that. So remember, in this next up space, we have the Page of Pentacles, which is, like I was saying, it's very much a learning card. And here we have the Nine of Earth, or the Nine of Pentacles. So this is that feeling of not feeling like you figured it all out yet. So it's up in here, it's that I have a decision to make. I have to learn something. I'm going to remain uncomfortable for a little while because I am legitimately not, I don't have it all figured out just yet. That's that moment of knowing that you're just not going to have things figured out yet. It's like when you go into a brand new job and you're no longer the expert and now you just kind of have to learn everything from the ground up. It's sort of that feeling, but it yields just amazing results. And so this is the Sun card. You'll often hear it referred to as the happiest card in the deck. But what I'm feeling here is absolutely happiness. But what I'm also feeling is like you figure out that you've uncovered a path. So in this process, you have uncovered something during the whole thing, really. It's not just here when you're out searching for answers. It's also, it starts as early as here when things really start to change and you realize there's a decision that needs to be made. But you know what? It's not a straightforward, simple decision. It's that sort of decision of that I need to put a hold on while I go out and investigate some more things. And so I'm going to pull you an oracle card too, because there are a couple of questions that pop up for me here. And I don't know if you guys have, I've seen some of you really getting into some of these extendeds, and I am going to take some of these questions into the extended because this is an amazing story and I love to hear it, but there's more that I'd like to understand. Like, I get that there's going to be a search for new information here, but I'd like to understand a little bit more about what comes out, because it's like you go into this tunnel and it's just like, it's the thinking cave, and I understand it's not going to be highly visible, but I'd be curious to understand if there's any more that we could learn about it, because you go into it and then you come out the other side and you're this whole different sort of energy. And so what happens there? What is it that you're learning? That's one of the things that we'll look into in the extended. And then, another one that I'm curious about is we've got this situation where you sort of have to be kicked out of the nest, and that's the bridge that you have to cross. So I'm curious to understand that, but maybe then tell us maybe even a little bit more about this next step. So I think those will be the things that we look into in the extended, and hopefully they'll be as awesome as some of these other ones that we do. Sometimes I swear the extended is the best part of the whole reading. So I want to get you, like I said, a Divine Abundance Oracle card. And this is guidance. This is overall guidance. And it is, yes, it's for the time of autumn, since we're in autumn and that's what our reading is. But it's not just for autumn. This is something that you might consider all year round. And so this is very much in line with the reading that we've just seen here. It's the card for sacrifice. And so what it says here, it might be tough to read here at the bottom. It says, sometimes surrender is painful. God's cutting away all that needs to go. Illusions, obsessions, addictions. It's a sacrifice to love. And I love this card for this reading because this is really what we see happening over here. When we see at the beginning of this reading, it's like a movie that comes out of the gate with a whole lot of action. Immediately, right away, you have something that's unstable. And something happens with it, and from that moment on, things are not going to be the same. And there's this need for sacrifice in the way that this card puts it, which is there are certain things, that you're going to have to cut away. Some illusions and obsessions are going to have to go, addictions, things that are holding you down, that sort of thing. And so here is where you kind of move into it. And I'm just looking at the reading as a whole to kind of pull it all together. So as you move into it though, you realize, yes, you're very much ready for this, or you may not feel totally ready for it, but you totally are. There's a decision to make. You pause, you go and you look and learn a little bit more about yourself. Go on that emotional walkabout that looks like moving around aimlessly, but actually has some good direction. And ultimately you come out with some just master manifestation energy and the ability to know yourself on a whole new level, which is amazing. And you still got a little bit of fear in there. I mean, you end up still being very human. The universe is going to kind of give you that extra nudge that you need to move forward, and that is going to be incredibly helpful for you. You know, you end up in a place where the learnings are incredibly beneficial. Yes, you've got some discomfort and some realization that you don't already know everything, but that's part of the learning process. And the learning process is really kind of what's happening for you across the course of this fall. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this reading here. We definitely have some things to figure out when we get to the extended around what is it exactly that you figured out when you were in that learning cave. What is it exactly that you embark upon, you know, as this next step that allows you to unlock this manifestation, and it becomes a happy learning process at this point, you know? And what is that bridge that you have to cross in order to get there? Because there is going to be some sacrifice, or, you know, cutting away of the illusions, and this is going to be you moving to a new level. So this is a super exciting time that's coming for us across the fall. Like I said, I can't wait to hear some of the readings. I'm going to go ahead and move over to the extended, but if this one resonated with you, I would just ask you to like, share, subscribe, so that I understand what it is that you like, and then we can stick together. And thanks so much, and I will see you next time.